Okay, before I start assembling the side panels into a outrigger, you will need to cut out these sides. Now I got this angle quite wrong here. That should be following the angle of the side here, because you'll notice when you line these up, and this will be 550 in from the front, that is how it needs to sit there, and that will then bring that, as you can see, level with the top of my side rail there. So, and you can see that it's lining up nicely with the bottom angle of the join where the other panel will come in. So that's probably right about where it needs to be, in fact. So depending on the dimensions that you have cut out for this side rail, cut out the squares from these bulkheads. Additionally, one other thing I should mention is if you're building your outriggers as a hollow outrigger with a void inside so that creates the flotation, then you'll want to also cut out a section as shown here with the shading, and that will allow water to flow along the length of the outrigger towards the back where your drain plug is going to be. If you're going to fill it with expanding foam, then you won't really need to worry about that. Oh, I should also point out, measure in 550 from the rear and make a mark here, as that's where you are going to put the first bulkhead. Similarly, as this is the one I've made out of a 3 meter length, you can see on the other one there, the join should basically be where that ends there, and you can see our shape fits very nicely into that spot there. So that back strap there will act as a nice little buffer to enable you to fit that in. Mark out where the 1500 center point is, that's where your other bulkhead is going to be, and then also mark out where 550 from the front runs into, and again that's going to be where our shape fits in as the front bulkhead. Okay, so what you now want is some of these or wiring. These are a little bit wasteful as they end up getting cut and thrown in the bin, and that's, I don't like to create plastic waste, but these really do a good job. Those are 2.5mm cable ties, so I've got a 2.5mm drill. I'm using the 200mm lines as a guide, and what I'm going to do is start joining the top panel and the bottom panel. Now make sure that you have sanded back these joins here so that when they meet, that's not going to create too big a gap there. Additionally, start from the back, and remember the lines tend to go out of alignment as you move towards the front because of the slightly curved shape. So don't drill all the holes at once, drill them as you go, and that way you'll get better alignment of where they need to be. And there we go. As you can see, we're moving into 3D. This is the exciting part where all of your hard work will start to pay off. So what I'm going to do now, having zip tied these side panels together, I'm going to start drilling the holes around the base of the two bottom panels here where these should meet. Now ideally I should have actually just put these together and drilled those before I started putting these on. That would have been much simpler. So when you're doing this, take these two thin bottom panels, sit them on top of each other and drill your holes straight through to get the fixing points there. That'll be a lot easier than doing it at this point, as now I'm starting to already get a two-dimensional shape here, sorry, three-dimensional shape here, which is going to make it just a little bit harder to mark these out. So given I should have done this first, just to keep things in place, I've fixed the end here, which should come together as a kind of keel, and that's on the rear, and then on the front I've lined things up, clamped our fronts here together and connected there. That'll just keep these together while I drill all the holes along the bottom here after having joined the sides together. Now, just a point, you can see here how these are starting to overlap a little bit. Don't tighten these up too much. You're going to want a bit of give in the system to allow you to get them straight and to allow you to get the bulkheads in and that sort of thing. So don't do the zip ties up too tight at this point in time. Okay, now this is rather tricky to do, but what you want to do is get the front bulkhead in at the right point where it's meant to be. Actually, I'm a little bit out of whack there. Let's slide that back to the 50. Actually, I'll do that once I've got two hands. And then use some tape to tape these together so you can mark out where these need to be cut in order to bring them together. And what I did there was sort of get them, it's stretched a little bit at the moment, but brought them together, put something down the middle, and then use that to draw the lines there. So now I'm going to cut those out so we can bring that together, screw it, and then that's going to help us start to put the rest together. But you can see how it is starting to take shape at the moment. Now, the other thing you'll want to put together is these pieces, which, as you can see here, are angled so that they fit nicely between there. What I essentially do is cut out a piece like this, slightly over length, and then just keep rubbing the, or rather holding the end to a belt sander until I get a nice fit just like that. And then I'm just going to put some epoxy along here and glue that onto that particular bulkhead. Now, once you've assembled the pieces, you can sight along the spine here to see exactly how well it's aligned. And if I can do this with two hands, this one is looking rather straight right down the middle, like so. But one problem I've got, we're slightly out of alignment at the back here, but I can correct that once I sort of glue on the point, only maybe a millimetre. But the other area to look at is along like so, and line up your bulkheads, and you can see whether they're straight down like this. Now, one problem we've got here, you'll see that my front bulkheads are reasonably straight. The problem I've got is the back here, where it angles up on this side, and the reason is this brown streak in the wood here. This is essentially a distortion in the timber. I thought once I glued it to the ply it would be okay, but it's kind of pulling up that side, so that's creating a bit of a twist in the rear of the outrigger here. But this highlights the importance of ensuring that the timber you're using for those strips along the inside there, upon which the top will be fixed, need to have very straight grain. Putting on something that's highly bent is going to distort the shape of the outrigger a little bit. Okay, so I just mixed up a batch of this, which is used to thicken up epoxy. This is the epoxy I like to use, the North Systems. It's a 3-to-1. I mix it up, create a thick paste, put it into a sandwich bag, cut a little hole on the end, and then you can use that just like a icer for icing cakes kind of thing, I guess, decorating cakes. And as you can see, I've set up the outrigger here in a system I'm using to essentially remove that twist in it and to hold it in place while I have put in sort of iced, I guess you would say, these points here where the bottom panel joins, and where the as much as I could, I need a little bit more on here, so I'll do a second batch, but on the bulkheads as well. It gets rather hard to get right up into the front there. You kind of need to create a more runny mixture and tip it in there and then kind of angle it down. I'll do those little bits later on. I would add, note that I haven't done the sides, these joins here. Now if you're going to do those as a, or rather if you're building your outriggers as a hollow outrigger, what I tend to do is just put a bit of, I don't use the thickened stuff, I just put a bit of tape, fiberglass tape across there and tape that in. It basically just needs to sort of hold at that point. And then the outer layer of fiberglass that goes on would hold that together better. But what I'm going to do with this one as a experiment, I haven't done that before, is actually fill up the outrigger with expanding foam, and that will stick to the sides and will actually act, I'm hoping, as kind of like the bonding agent to hold those joints together.